divine. I had no intention on getting on here right now. I do everything pretty led. Everything that's happening right now, you guys have already received the information on it. You remember I told you that the veil, October, it would always be. Well, you're starting to see that now, which means that you're seeing through a lot of different things that are showing up various all over the world. It might be a little bit alarming to you, but you already knew ahead of time. You also can see on the community board where I posted 8 months ago about the shift that's happening right now, the reset, the full circle, 1221. I've already told you a lot of the stuff that many people are talking about. However, it's not gonna be the way that it's displayed, which means that many of you have already been directed on exactly what it is that you are to do during this time period. You have already also been shifted into the places that you are supposed to be in. It's so interesting because about a week ago, I went out. Well, I thought I was heading out to pick up my grocery. My grocery was supposed to be ready around 4. I received a notion saying that my grocery were already ready at 3:30. So I said, well, wow, this is early. So that lets you know that this shift has happened for a lot of people pretty darn early. Then I went out and it was like your tire is flat on the right hand side front tire. I just happened to walk around to that side of my car in the garage. Wouldn't normally do that. I was able to see, which also is an awareness as well that I've taken from the fact of, because it was such a curious event, so I already knew I was getting messages. So it was like, okay. So some people are going to have situations in which they feel that they are not prepared or something is going to happen very random out of the blue. So then I went and it was like, the car that I have, I'm able to go inside the trunk and I have this electric way of pumping up the tires. Like I have air in this little electric device. So I was like, oh, okay. So I pulled that out, turned it on, I plugged it in, turned it on. You plug it into the inside of the car and then you turn it on and it has air in it. So it went ahead and pumped up the tire. So what you recognize is that it seemed like something that would be an inconvenience, but then all of a sudden it's not an inconvenience at all. Exactly where you need to go and what you need to happen is going to happen shortly after that, as long as you don't trip about it. So at that point in time, I was like, well, wow. So good thing that I came out and the grocery were early, right? So then I get in my car and proceed on like I normally would, right? So when I proceed on like I normally would, I head off and I ended up stopping at a stoplight, but I looked over, it was right in front of a store. Well, right in front of that store, it's like, there was a car sitting there that wanted to pull out at the same time that I was waiting on a light. So I said, well, let me look behind me. I looked behind me, there was a little bit of space, so I backed up. And the car that was behind me, they paused, I backed up, and then I let that car out. So I was like, okay, no big deal. So then the light turned green and I went on down as to where I was gonna go. I made a right turn, went on down, and then I stopped at another light. At that light, I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay. I look over and there's a truck ready to turn in front of me, waiting, and I'm blocking the intersection again for them to turn. So I said, again, I could be the type where I just kind of sit there and act like I don't see them, but I look behind and I said, well, there's space again. So I actually took that space again, backed up the car behind me, didn't seem to mind. You know, of course, they're looking like, what is this person doing? But I saw space. So I backed up. It was just enough for the truck to come on in and turn exactly where they needed to go. So I was like, well, wow. So it let me know that things are going to be maneuvered, a lot of moving. I've even talked to so many of you guys who have already moved to different locations, new job positions, ending positions, ending relationships, changes, big, 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 new homes, new places that you're arriving, new states, new countries. You guys have moved, okay? People are moving out, people are moving in. It's just happened, right? So everybody is exactly placed as to where they're needed to be placed. And even though it seems like there's a little bit of an inconvenience, like something is blocking, or maybe that you arrived a little bit too early, or maybe it seems like a little bit of hiccup or an inconvenience, but then you notice right then, there was a pathway that was open for you. There was a way that was made for you. So what that looks like is what I took from my message, and this is generally what I do. As I was riding along, I go, wow. So then I'm like, I was early, now I'm late. It's after 4 to pick up my grocery. But whenever I arrived, they were actually still loading the grocery of the people that were up ahead. So they didn't even notice that I was late. And as soon as I pull up, it's like, oh, what's your name? I tell them my name. They go in, pull up. We'll be right out with your grocery. I go in and I sit there and I'm like, wow, I'm actually right on time. So what it looks like is that there'll be a lot of different little inconveniences that you guys have already experienced. So it seems like you're going through right now, but it's going to be absolutely no big deal. The biggest thing about it is to recognize who you are, how you are, and you develop that patience that surpasses all understanding that you guys have been working on for the past year or so. So it's no different. What it seems to be is that many of the things that are going to come and seem like a roadblock for some people and cause a whole lot of chaos, which you've noticed, like I said before, that veil is permanently thin at this point. Well, none at all, actually. You can actually just see through, but it's not just you seeing through. A lot of people are seeing things that they never saw before. And what I mentioned before, a lot about the mental instabilities and things of that sort, you're starting to recognize what's going on with these people who are on substances. It is bad. No covers anymore. These people are having these issues and disturbances. No cover anymore. It is so loud. So you're sitting on the internet, you're sitting on in person, you're reading about it. You're watching it. It is a full display, right? If you don't know what I'm talking about, you can look at all the videos that I posted right before this a few weeks ago that lets everybody know exactly what is happening in full effect. I also have something else that I'm going to have to post on here too, because you know it's full completion of those of you who entered on the Twin Flame journey. That was just the entry. The journey is number 1. Embodiment is number 2. And then Twin Soul Connections is number 3. Full completion, right? What would that be about? Well, many of you are recognizing that you are being aligned to the people who are aligned to your soul. And you're being divided from the people who do not align with your soul. And it's happening in a way now that it used to be like a choice point. Well, I'm going to still interact with these people. I'm going to still deal with this, or I'm going to deal with that. But at this point in time, it's just not an ability like it used to be before, which means that it is just being a complete divide, which some would say, oh no, but many who have dealt with a lot of troublesome connections and you've wondered, where are my people? Or where are people who get me? Or where are people who are like me? And many are coming together, which is that it's not just a twin flame connection, it's twin souls that you start to align with, which is once you embody who you are. Check out that video. I'm getting do that right after this. You'll start to recognize twin soul connections, and you also recognize what is not a connection that aligns with your soul. And it's not a tolerance anymore to deal with it in a way that you did before. That's allowing people to shift completely up into finally directions that you have always wanted to be in before, that you never could make those shifts, which means that you're eating different things that you had a hard time doing before. You're able to cut stuff out of your diet that you had a hard time doing before. You're able to take on new opportunities you had a hard time doing before. You're cutting interaction that you had a hard time doing before. When I posted on the community board, these are finally shifts going into this Aquarius season. See, this was a kickoff that happened about 8 months ago to let us know exactly what was going to full circle happen around this time period. Yes, you're hearing a lot of doomsday stuff, but you don't have to worry about any of that. Because many of the things that people are going to start experiencing right now, you have already experienced throughout your lifetime. You're actually shifting up, which means that you're going to actually start living more of a glory point life in which you struggled to live before, which means that it just always seems like the current was just fighting you. Many of you have had a lot of traumatic experience that you have lived before. A lot of dark down days. I cannot catch a break is what seems to be coming. Well, over with that. So you're going to recognize that a lot of the turmoil that you have already experienced is what is being picked up on as a big magnitude is going to happen with a lot of people. Now, granted, this is nothing to be excited about, but it's nothing to be sad about either. Which means that if there's going to be a running out of something, you've already been told to go get you some. If there's going to be a delay on something, then you've already been directed to another route. If there's going to be some type of big storm or turmoil, you've already been shifted to a new location. You have been covered just like the whole pandemic. It's the same similar thing where you look around and some go through an experience of it and some don't. Some are showing up like, hey, I got something I can support you with during this time, and some are really going through it resource-wise, and some actually prospered in many ways they've never done before in the pandemic. Well, this is the same thing that's happening in this shift. Many of us are rising up, but however, you're going to see around where some people are going to be affected. Well, what it's doing is that they're going through similar seasons that you've lived throughout your life. So that's why I mean it's not something to be completely sad about. These are the things that turn you into the internal character that you are. This is what shaped you into the light and shining diamond that you are. To be able to love. You're recognizing that you are love, and that in which is love receives love. Actually, it's the only route. Love needs to be within you, and then it starts magnifying externally for you. This is really the big shift on the planet, right? I mean, this is what it was all for. So don't get caught in all the doomsday stuff or reading into energy that's just not for you anymore. If you recognize a lot of these shifts that have already began early for some and is coming in, tailoring in after for many. It's not specifically on a set date. It's going to swing just like my grocery order, okay? But however, recognize that you have already experienced many turmoils, so you're not to go through that again. But also recognize that the things that people are going through is allowing them the possibility to shift upward in ways that you're getting ready to do that you've never been able to do before. Also listed, like I described in the community board 8 months ago, that you can actually check out now. I'm going to do some type of way of forwarding it out to you guys so you can actually get a refresher and also listen to those past Ascension videos. They've actually let you know exactly what's happening now. You remember, you always know ahead of time. I don't know why my stuff comes that way, but it just does. It's always been that way. But this is the thing. It's actually a really good time on earth. So don't get plugged into energy that does not serve you. The same way you didn't see me reading over and over into anything that does not serve me, I recommend you do the same thing. I've already lived that. I don't need to be a reporter of it. I actually get to ascend above it and begin to live a different type of life now. Same as you. Congratulations. Welcome to the new. Congratulations on those finally shifts that you've made. Isn't it amazing? You know the golden mission has always been union within yourself, then union with others. Congratulations on those twin soul connections. Whew. Isn't it going to be so great to align with people that align with you? Amazing. See you soon.